Happy Friday, everyone. Welcome back. We've got squats and deadlifts today, so let's get into it. I got to the gym in the morning and decided to go to the cardio section for a quick warm-up. Nothing crazy, just pretty much same as usual. However, instead of picking the stair climber, I went with the elliptical for a couple of reasons actually. First, because it's been a while since I've actually been on the elliptical, and I didn't want to do anything that would take too much from me, just because I knew going in it would be a pretty challenging squat and deadlift day with all the volume, so I didn't want to do anything too much. So I went with the elliptical, just an easy half mile, very casual pace. I was not going fast at all, and it took me 4 minutes and 31 seconds. Also, on a side note, I was on an elliptical that was 2 down from a woman who I haven't seen in a very long time. I used to see her very regularly when I was working out at this location well before quarantine, well before lockdown, and it's funny because I would recognize her even from across the room and know it was her just because of the headphones that she wears, which is a really bright pink colored pair of Beats headphones. And it's interesting because I see less and less and much fewer people wearing headphones, traditional headphones with a headband. And I totally get it. Truly wireless earbuds have really taken off and it's becoming the norm. And for good reason. For absolutely good reason. But I always kind of just knew her from her headphones. And don't get me wrong, she's a very pretty, very attractive woman. But just seeing the headphones again, I already knew it was her. I saw her from the side as I was approaching the ellipticals, and I knew it was her just from the headphones. But I'm sure she's doing great. I hope she's doing well, and so I'll probably see her again sometime, hopefully. She seems really nice. I haven't actually met her formally, but I used to see her so often. We would just recognize each other. But who knows, maybe I'll be able to introduce myself one day. Anywho, here are the squats. And for the warm-up, I did a set of 10 with 135, set of 8 with 185, just the same as usual. And I did kind of think about doing a set with 225, but as I was loading the bar, I just figured, let's just go to working sets. So here's the 10 by 5 with 245. This time you actually get to see the depth, and I'm happy about that, just because just like last time, I'm happy with how the squat is going right now. I'm really pleased with not only the depth that I'm still able to get, but also just being able to lock in form and technique and drive. It really is nice with this kind of volume, with this kind of pace, 90 seconds of rest in between sets. And it does get tiring. It really, really does. When I get past about set 5 or 6, that's when the conditioning really gets tested. So while I can still maintain good form and technique and bar path and bar speed, it's not easy. It's certainly not easy. Most people aren't going to be doing this many squats in a session, and especially at this kind of pace and rate, it's not something to take lightly. And if you ever try it, I will highly recommend that you go very light. Or if you do try to do something like, 70% of your 1 rep max, you're going to feel it. You will definitely feel it. This here is just a different change in angle, just to see it a little bit more from the front. And again, I'm very happy with the depth that I get with the back squat. And of course, I'm using a high bar position on it, so a little bit different from a low bar, and especially different from a wide stance. You might notice my feet are not that wide. They're not that far apart, and that goes with my hip structure. That goes with how I am accustomed to squatting, and plus with my back squat, I like to try to get it to carry over as much as possible with my clean. Although, of course, I treat them separately. They're two completely different exercises. However, a wide stance squat isn't going to do much for your clean just because of the stance width, because of the technique, especially the bar position, and of course going from front to back from a front position, a front rack position on a clean is different from a high bar position for a back squat, but it's closer, especially when you think about back angle. I'm not leaning forward a lot like I would if I was using a low bar position, so just some things to think about. And these last 2 sets, this is where it was just, let's just get it done. So honestly, when I got past, I think it was 8, that's when, or just around 8, I'd say, that's when I was starting to get tired. So still, of course, technique is good. I wasn't getting sloppy. I wasn't getting out of form, so that's always a good thing. And it wasn't even all that much slower either. Small, tiny decrease in bar speed, but I wasn't going for speed reps anyway, so it was really just get the job done, get everything finished, and move on, more or less. So of course you'll see that stoppage at the bottom, but I wasn't going for any long pauses today just because it wouldn't take long before I would feel burnt out, and then that's when I might have to adjust volume or adjust rest periods. And I want to stay as consistent as I can, especially with the 90 seconds. Eventually, I will have to add probably about 10 seconds, but for now, I'm going to try my best to stay on top of 90 seconds and be able to get all volume done. And if I ever have to cut volume short, that's when I know something has to be adjusted. Okay, Sumo Deadlift. I treated this one a little differently. I did my typical set of 5 with 225 and then set of 4 with 275. However, I did throw in a triple with 315. Last time I just got really tired fast, so I just figured give myself a little bit more time to recover from the squats, so I threw in a triple, easy triple with 315 before getting to working sets. Oh, and also, by the way, I took my time between squats and deadlifts. I literally took, I think, a good 6 minutes before I even set up for deadlift, just to make sure that I wasn't going to get burnt out at all. And here we've got Sumo Deadlift. 10 by 5, 340 pounds, 90 seconds of rest in between sets. And I'll be honest, there were a couple reps where I didn't bounce the bar off the floor, but it also wasn't too far off either. They were done a little bit faster than I tend to like. And I think in the back of my mind, that was just me subconsciously trying to get through the reps. And so as we go on from here, that completely disappears. But I did notice that there were a couple times where it wasn't a bounce, it was not a touch and go, but it also was starting to ride that line, and I don't want to do that. I really don't. So once I kind of felt that, I made it a very purposeful attempt and effort to just not do that. So of course that's just being tired and fatigue starting to kick in. That'll happen. You might start to rush things, and once you do, it's good to recognize it and change it and fix it so that you don't make it a habit and you don't start to accept it. So here, of course, you see that good stoppage at the bottom. I don't have to reset anything, but I just keep everything together and just get ready for the next repetition. So during, I think, the first 2 sets, I think there were a couple reps where they were a little bit quicker than I would have liked them to be. And I think, again, that's just my body just saying, okay, we're gearing up for 50 reps with 340, so, yeah, let's just get them done. And as a result, yeah, it was not up to the par for standard that I have for myself. So I do understand other people like to train with touch and go deadlifts, and they can do them correctly. There is a technique to them, there's a time and there's a place. However, for me, for the most part, I don't like to incorporate them in my training. But if you were to do them, wouldn't, to me, in my opinion, this wouldn't be a time to utilize that technique. Just wouldn't be. So I definitely wanted to make sure that stopped right then and there. And so I did. So basically from here on out, you'll see every rep done pretty much how I always like to do them. And that way just ensures quality, ensures strength from the bottom, makes sure that I'm not putting a lot of compression onto my lower part of my spine, because that's just asking for an injury. It's just not a good idea. And it's risk with really no reward other than maybe being able to get another rep. Maybe, and even then, so if you're at that point, your form is probably compromised, and it's not worth the grind, in my opinion, of course. So that's kind of how I approach deadlifts. So here are the last couple sets, and that's pretty much the workout. No accessories. Couple reasons. One, because 50 reps of squats, 50 reps of deadlifts, not an easy task. Also, with the surroundings, I just wanted to leave anyway, so believe me, my lower body is fully worked and I'm good to go. Plus, I want to be able to function and be able to walk properly for the next couple days. Alright, but that's pretty much it. Got a rest day tomorrow, and then going back to weighted dip and reverse grip pendlay row. Take care, y'all, and remember, adopt, don't chop.